Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Power Chat with Takia and Nancy Lewis Hill. So, today we're going to be talking about getting open, getting in alignment, getting into the zone of creativity. And I had the pleasure of talking to some beautiful people earlier today about this very topic. And if you were on our Clubhouse recording of our podcast, you saw for the Lyrical Meditation Cipher, we did freestyle on this topic today, and it was really beautiful just to hear everyone's processes and practices. Before we get to that, just so you know who we are, again, my name is Takia, and I am a kinetic specialist and an activation coach for our lives, right? Because we live in action. That is where the momentum is carried forth into actualization. That's when the fruits of our energetic labor come to being in physical form, right?
Mm.
And it's that process, though, of getting there that we often need help with. Sometimes we feel stuck, and sometimes we have pain or stagnancy causes stiffness, and that might be in our life or in our bodies. And who's to say that they aren't one and the same? And so that is what I do here. And together, Nancy Lewis Hill and I assist people in getting free and just living in their soulful power. And so often people come to us from a place of needing to lose weight
Mm.
physically and not really understanding the depth of the mental and emotional weight that really is what is at the root of their outward presentation of their weight. And so, there is a really awesome thing that happens when you start to move, create more movement in your life, right? And we know this to be true, that movement is life. When things are still and aren't growing, then they feel like they aren't living. They take on the characteristics of inanimate objects, right? Of things that do not have life running through them. So
Mm.
yes, this is what we do. So if you're looking to truly make a change, a transformation, not just because it's the start of a new year, but because in this moment in your life you're truly ready to make a change, then send us a message. Send me a note. I offer free consultations. Let us get you moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to today's topic. I get excited and passionate about that because I really believe it's at the core of how we create the lives that are in alignment with our hearts, and I think the world really needs, especially now, people living from their hearts. So. Um,
100%. I'm glad you get passionate about it because if you weren't passionate about it, then I'd be wondering why we even do it.
and so
Right?
speaking of getting open, getting in line alignment with our creativity. What is that
Mm.
about, and why is it necessary?
I'm
Well,
glad you asked because I was going to ask you that. So let's
well,
dive in.
so many people that I meet, I come across. One of the things that I ask people when I meet them, because I'm
Mm.
so curious, is what they're passionate about. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know. They don't know what really excites them, what really gets them excited
Yes.
about living. you
Yes.
know, and out of the humdrumness of the day to day. And they claim, often the same people I talk to that say that also believe that they are not creative. And the fact is, we create our
Mm.
lives every single day. And a lot of times, what the block is that people haven't accepted their power of creativity, their power as a creator, and therefore they feel like they're a victim in their lives and things are happening to them rather than unfolding as a manifestation of their own energetic alignment, thoughts, emotions, desires,
Mm.
and beliefs. And so, just like any other practice, a movement practice, a self care practice that we know can really support us in our lives, it's really wonderful to have a process for getting into your zone of creativity. And so I can tell you, what it is that I do, and then we can spawn the conversation from there.
Yes.
I used to think that I just had to wait for inspiration to hit me
Mm.
out of the blue. I used to
I think
think
that's common.
that I just was going to just go along and I was going to wait until it hit me, and that was when I was going to write something. And it happened sometimes. It would just
Mhm.
I would almost be summoned to sit down and write. And so what I found though is that when I create the space and time and I consciously sit with the intention to write, I can also summon my creativity.
That's powerful.
Yes. And so that to me is the difference. You become um, more in alignment with your power as a creator when you intentionally create space for creativity.
Mm.
That's the point number one, I think, is the starting place for, because a lot of times the same people who say that they aren't creative also don't make time or space for it.
True. And I think what we do, and I say we because I know I'm in that space sometimes, is that I wanna that would be that's my excuse, right? Rather than like, I have to blame it on something, like, I'm not creative, so that's why I don't set up any time for myself to be creative. It's like we wanna fulfill the fact that we're telling ourselves we're not creative, so I love the way you switched it in saying that I set aside time with the intention for my creativity,
Right.
which says I am creative, so therefore I've set aside time, but the reverse is what you've done in telling not setting aside the time, it's because you've already confirmed yourself that you're not creative,
Yes.
so I like
And
where this heads.
the statement, the kind of kind of reverse of that, the
Mm.
reflective point to that is that in setting aside time, I'm honoring my creativity, right?
Mm.
Honoring it because I'm creating a practice around it. And anything that we create a practice around, we say we respect, we say we honor, we say we send, our energy to because we give it our focus, our attention.
Yeah.
And so a practice. And what I find is that for me, when I sit down to write, and what is really important is that I I kind of limit the distractions. So I won't be watching television. I may introduce things consciously, like music that has a vibe that feels good to me, because feeling good is also a really great catalyst for creativity, or feeling deeply, feeling intensely.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we are stifled when we're angry, right? When we have low
Mhm.
vibratory emotions, it's difficult to create something new and beautiful until we are beyond that moment and have the ability to look back on it. Then we can have a different perspective and not caught up in the intensity of the low vibration emotions. A lot of times that's just a time for venting, for getting out what it is that we are holding on to. And then we can look at what happened or what we wrote and even create something beautiful out of it. Hindsight, right?
Right.
Um, but in the process of creativity, the energy that you bring to that process will be the energy of the thing you create. So even if you could create out of the anger, and maybe it's, um, art can be made from a the process of the outletting, like painting. Like say you're
Mm.
feeling passionate or angry, and part of your venting is that you take, paint and you're splashing it everywhere, and you're tossing your body and you're using color in that way to capture the emotion that you felt in that moment. Well, that certainly is a way to create art in the moment, in the heat of
Yeah.
passion. And you can often capture the energy of that feeling in that art. Um, Otherwise, when we're intentionally just trying to create something that has a pointed purpose, like for example, when I was writing today for the cipher, so a performance
Mhm.
piece around a specific topic, I can't be angry while I'm writing, right? And so, what's more conducive to writing something soulfully connected is to limit distraction, to create
Mm.
a quiet space for me to avail myself of the creativity that is always available to me. It's that line from divine through myself that's always flowing, right? Because if we are creating our lives every day, then we know that that presence is always there. And there isn't anywhere that the presence is not. And so, no matter what you believe, if you call source of all there is, creator of all worlds, God, Jehovah, any other name, Jesus, whatever God that you believe in, or if you just believe in expansive energy or energy, and you know that scientifically energy is the basis of all things,
Mm.
and that is pervasive, right? Then even that, there's an expansive nature to energy that is creative, right?
Yeah.
It grows, it expands. In order for something to grow and expand, there's a certain type of frequency that's required. A lower level kind of energy frequency is going to be constrictive,
Mm.
right? And and draw to itself other things that are also constrictive.
Right.
Yeah. So what this is leading to is flow, right? It's
Mhm.
leading to us stepping fully into the flow of energetic creativity that is always available to us, and creating something that is interpreted through our particular vein, right?
Yeah.
And this is, we know this is to be true, that there's a collective consciousness, right? How often have you had an idea, and knowing that it's not yet been created anywhere else, but as soon as you speak it into being, you see it everywhere.
Yes. And like somebody stole my idea. It's like I have not talked to anybody, so that's not
Right,
possible.
right. So it's really about really honing your skill as a channel, honing your skill of recognizing when you are in energetic alignment with source, and being able to sit in that space and allow what is in you to become. And so sometimes that comes out as words, sometimes it's ideas. Sometimes, it starts with a seed of an idea that becomes something that you can't quite imagine in this moment. And so that's why it's important for us to really tap into our alignment, so that we can recognize when we're getting nudges, recognize when we're getting a seed of an idea. It can be helpful to have a notebook to write down these little ideas that come to you, that because they come and go. And you may have experienced this, Nancy,
For
when you
sure.
like, when you feel like, I liken it to like when you have a dream and
Mm.
you wake up from the dream, and if you don't write it down immediately, it literally disappears. It's gone forever.
And it was so vibrant to you at the moment, you thought for sure you would not forget it. And
Right.
then it's
Poof.
as vividly as it was there, it's as non-existent. It's amazing how that works.
And the same thing I find happens with good ideas, you know, um, and so
Absolutely.
writing them down, just capturing them, even if you aren't really completely in a complete understanding of why it's came to you, or what it's for, or what it will become later, just having it down so that you can reference it later is a good idea.
One of the things I learned from you was you just mentioned it, was writing it down even though you don't know why. I used to not, write things down because I thought, "Well, what does that matter? I'm not doing anything what is that doesn't have any applicable use for me. It's not relevant," whatever it was, and not realizing that because you have that thought today or that inspiration today or that creative burst at that moment doesn't mean that it's not relevant ever. It just maybe in that particular moment you didn't the dots weren't there to connect, but by
Right.
writing it down in a little some place that you have, like I have a note in my notes app, and the note is titled just ideas. Because
Yeah.
that way I can always go back to that idea pile and just kind of scan through when I just have a moment of nothingness. And as I
Mhm.
scan through, sometimes the ideas that I put in there, suddenly today it's relevant. I'm like, oh my God, that was a great idea I had.
Yeah.
So,
That's really poignant because, time is irrelevant in the world of the absolute, in spirit world. So it's irrelevant. It's our timing is certainly not God's timing.
and if
And
I'm not in flow, if I'm
yeah,
not in flow, I won't see the purpose of the idea at the moment because I whatever it is that's blocking me from being all in alignment,
right.
the idea doesn't stop coming. It's the
Yeah.
problem. Maybe the challenge I had was I was not in the right space at the moment.
Mhm.
It's always delivered at the right time. It's just
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
It's our perception of and the meaning that we give things that
right.
shifts how it shows up for us in our from our perspective.
Yep.
Totally. And so, so what we've said so far is that it's really important to honor your creativity.
Mm,
As a conscious creator in the world, it's important to make time, carve out time in the time that you have in a day to sit in quietude and really allow yourself to connect. And if you aren't aware of how to do that, and I've had, I know many, many people who don't even know what I mean when I say that.
yes.
There's and you really it's challenging to try to explain in words because words are limiting, and if you haven't had the experience then their meaning is even less for someone hearing it. So it's really an experiential learning, an
Mhm.
experiential remembering. When you feel the opposite is a great way. I think many people can more often relate to feeling anxious, to feeling like this unsettledness, to feeling frenzied, to feeling erratic, or even depths of sadness, or feeling, this kind of disconnectedness or feeling off, right? You know what that feels like.
Mhm.
And then you also maybe have had some experiences where either you were playing sports and you were totally and fully engaged with all of yourself, and you weren't thinking about anything else because you were completely brought into a moment of presence. Maybe went skydiving. You're not thinking about whether or not you left the stove on or if someone's mad at you when you're
Right.
jumping out of a plane. You are thinking about the protocol and then this moment. What do I need to do right now to make the jump and be alive? Like that's all.
That's all. There is
That's it.
absolutely nothing
There's
on your mind at that point.
no. No, you are not concerned with what the world is thinking of you. Like that
No.
is not you're not thinking, right?
No, you're not. There can't be anything else in your mind at that particular moment. Absolutely.
Or if you're in a tournament, in some kind of a martial art tournament, in the moment when there's 1 minute left on the clock, there is total focus. I don't know if you've been watching Yellowstone.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I really enjoy movies and ones that have depth, ones where the character development is beyond, where the acting people really went in and became the
Mm.
character. I so appreciate that. And then the cinematography. So there's an energy to this show that really is a bunch of a series of movies in my mind that is kind of low. Like this very it's dark. It's a bit dark. So I watch it in the daytime. Usually, if if I watch it that week, right? I'll when I leave, I like schedule time for myself to just veg, to just be entertained.
Mhm.
And in this time, I'll choose something like that's really good, like Yellowstone. And in this there's a scene. I don't want to give it away for anyone. No, I don't want to spoil alert here. But there's a scene where a man is getting on a bull, on a sorry, a bronking buck, like a a stag, I guess it is what they call them. I don't know. I'm not a horse
I'll
literate.
give
So
you the bucking bronco.
yeah. So that's what it is. It's on a horse that bucks really hard.
Okay.
And he's at the rodeo and he's distracted. So the moment he's sitting on this thing, about to be released for the pen, and he's distracted. And
Mm,
you know only bad things can happen from that point on.
mhm,
He's not in the moment. He's
mhm.
not in flow. He's not connected. He's completely in um, his human self, thinking about what someone else is thinking about him,
Yeah,
and then something really bad
of
happens.
course.
So,
It
so
it's for me, I not, I can see how that relates, and I'm not, an athletic I don't tend to do athletic things, but I do know one thing. I remember they would always say when I was running track is never look to the side, never look back to see where your opponent's at, right? Where
right,
who's your competition, and it's because not only it's like you're not in the zone anymore. As soon as you are not looking, you're not just running your own race. As soon as
yeah,
you're looking to see where somebody else is, you have lost that connection to yourself. You've lost connection of where you diverted your energy so that
yeah,
it's no longer in that one space,
right,
right?
yep,
And it's a proven fact that you will lose time on your run.
yeah,
Just that one split second, even
yeah,
if you don't turn your entire head, it's amazing how, yes, you when you are in that space where you've given nothing to interrupt the difference
yeah.
that that can make.
Yes, I remember. I can recall many times in my athletic career where, there was just no way that I could have, like, I made a one-handed catch in football, and toes just inside the line, one-handed catch, brought it in, and I never done that in competition before. We of course practice it, but
Sure.
I remember not thinking. I was simply responding, right? It was
Mm,
out of my reach, but if you can the rule is if you can touch it with your fingertips, you should catch it, you know. And and um and then of course after I caught it, I was brought to into the moment with everyone else, like, and I could hear the cheering and all that.
sure.
But it literally it was an otherness. It was
Yeah.
inside and just connected and just
Mm,
completely present, could feel the leather on my fingertips, could feel it coming, like everything slows down and you just get really, you're connected to everything. And it's the most beautiful thing ever. And if that's not why we're here, and if that can't be used to help us shape the kind of world we want to live in, then what other power can there be? It's the
right.
power of creativity to really design the life that we want, that creates the world that we want.
Right. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And we have that power within us all the time. And
Yes.
to know that, I mean, if you don't get anything out of this conversation than that piece, and just let that like a nice tea leaves steep in your water, just let that sink in. That like we have that power within us every single day, every minute, every second to decide that.
So the goal of a practice, right, is to make it, have it be a part of how you are.
Your
So like
fabric.
point of a meditation practice is to bring meditation into your life on a daily basis, is to have the essence of that meditative state be how you live.
Yeah.
And so the point of any practice, the point of a practice that cultivates your creativity, is to live as an open, aligned, creative being every day.
Mm,
And so this is also why it's important to create a practice, right? To honor your creativity and no longer be in denial of it, but to accept it and honor it, and leave space for it. Set aside time to cultivate your connection to your own creativity. Um,
yeah. To
and
honor it. It's like
yeah,
that alone just sounds beautiful, right? I
yeah,
mean, just to honor your own. I mean, that it's you have a gift, just by being who you are, just being human. You have that gift, and to honor that gift, What greater honor can you give of yourself to yourself?
Yes. And so just some practical, just to rewind here, some practical ways to begin to shift your state, to get into the zone, right? So it's creating the environment, because you know how much our environment affects us. So decrease the distractions. You can move your body, you can dance. Dancing,
Mm,
any kind of movement in your physicality is going to bring you closer to presence.
it
Um,
works for me.
listening to music at all, even if you're not moving, but you're just kind of allowing it to penetrate, at the
Mhm.
kind of music with energy that feels good to you, expansive. Um, also, it can be something as simple as starting to write. You're starting the process of releasing, and writing can lead you on a path. Walking in nature, anything that brings you closer to truth, right? Because being in nature, there
Mm,
isn't anything pretending, right? Everything is truth. Everything is
100%.
everything is on purpose, And so if you are the product of your five friends, and five of your friends are blooming flowers that bloom to their magnificent selves fully every season, and
Right.
do exactly what they were made for, with no compromise, then perhaps you'll be influenced positively. Um, and then finally, I think that really, even if you need affirmations in order to remind yourself of your creative sense, sensibilities. Sometimes just even cultivating and supporting and reinforcing your belief of yourself as a creative being can be really helpful. Because creativity comes in so many forms.
Mm,
Sometimes the best ideas are contributed, and on a whim, on a thought that was just it was just possible because there was time and space for it to become possible,
yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and someone was open enough and willing enough, willingness, right? Willingness, had this enough willingness to share it, not knowing the ultimate, journey that that idea would take,
Mhm.
the impact it may or may not have.
Just letting it be.
Yeah. So I want to bring it to a close today. I just think I really thought that, talking about, creating this space, and believing that you are a conscious creator is really important. And if you have a passion for drawing or painting or wordplay, or, anything that is making something out of nothing, or enhancing something, is all creativity, you know? And so it doesn't have to be that you are a singer. It doesn't have to be that you are, a trained actor. It doesn't have to be that you can draw, necessarily. It doesn't mean that you have to be an artiste. It just know that you are an artist, as you are the creator of your life, and that everyone has a gift,
Mm,
every single person, and that often, if you are just willing to get connected, exactly what it is that you are to do, your next right step will come to
mhm.
you. And that is the paintbrush of our lives, the next right step. It creates our masterpiece.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We are all creative, and when we just will allow that to be the truth that we believe, um, it's amazing what to imagine. I'm just imagining what that feels like to really fully believe that always, because I know when I believe it in the moments that I'm consciously believing it, how many things happen, that I didn't expect that are just so lovely.
Yes.
So I love this conversation. Uh, thank you for all the way that you frame it. It's always for me. It's a pleasure to hear it. I know that I don't know the science behind things sometimes. I just know that there's a gut response, and when you talk about it, there are times that I can remember where I have just done those things that you said
Yeah.
and realized, oh wow, that was exactly when creativity came to me. And just the act itself was creative. So you said, walking in nature, or sometimes I will just dance. And I don't want anybody to see me because it's not necessarily a dance I want to be seen. It's just me expressively dancing or just letting it out. And there's a release that comes to that. And I didn't realize that it's all connected at the time. I didn't realize that that movement is all part of what helps you to move into the allowing creativity to flow. So it's
Yeah.
funny. Our gut knows. We just don't want to listen to it. We just decide that we've got some other answer.
And no matter whatever else we do here, everyone's common purpose is to be fully expressed.
Yes.
And so just expression is creativity. And only you can express you the way that you express you.
Because you're amazingly made. There's no one on this entire universe, anywhere in creation, designed to be you except you. So with that, you get to have a blast with whatever that is. And oh my goodness, honor it and allow it to happen.
Yes. The world needs your genius. You are more than enough. You are necessary to the unfoldment of the cosmos. We love you and we look forward to seeing you again really soon. I know that the holidays can be a time of celebration and also a time of inward reflection for many people. And so, wherever you are in your emotions and your experience of
Mm.
these days of holly and holiness, um, I send love to you and just know that everything that we experience has the power to help us become more of who we are.
Yes, always.
Peace and love. We'll see you really soon. It's my beating heart.
That's good.
Yes.